Hello, everybody, and today, for our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reviews, we are reviewing the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. Directed, or not really directed, but produced by Michael Bay. So, this is a very controversial Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, and this was the movie I wanted to see back in the day, but because I was only 10 years old, I was not allowed to watch this movie for some reason. But then, when it came out on Blu-ray, I finally got to watch it. And I gotta say, this movie is definitely something else for the Teenage Mutant Turtle brand. It is a sort of new interpretation of the Turtles, even though this movie's 10 years old or 11. But a lot of people don't like this movie because of the turtle designs and the portrayal of April, played by Megan Fox. So Megan Fox is definitely a wild choice for April, but I definitely see her kind of playing the role, but she was in the movie a lot. But the main issue people have with this movie is that they focus on April a lot and less of the turtles. So, I don't know what to unpack with this movie, but basically it's about a company made by a businessman named Eric Sachs who wants to apparently rid the world of Shredder and the Foot Clan. But it turns out he's actually working with the Foot Clan. And so our four Ninja Turtles have band together to put a stop to it, while also being discovered by April O'Neil. So what this movie... So, for the things that I did like about this movie is... I honestly don't know, because, this movie is very mixed for me. It has decent action, in my opinion. The scenes in the... that's in later in the movie, which is the snow scene where they're jumping in various trucks and using their weapons on various foot soldiers. That scene was really good. But the main thing about this movie are the turtle designs. And I gotta say, I'm not really a fan of them. I can kind of see what they're going with these turtles, having them look unique. But they honestly kind of just look like Shrek, and that's the main thing people said about these versions of the Turtles. They just look like gigantic hulks. But they do come up with some cool gear. Raph's got his sunglasses and the bandana strapped all over his head, which would be later used for other designs of Raphael. Mikey's got a sort of skateboarder look. Leo's got some, I think, cardboard around his shoulders, his chest plate, and Donnie's just got a bunch of gadgets. But I think probably the worst design is probably Mikey. I don't know why, but the most infamous scene is where he takes his mask off and just says, "It's just a mask. See, don't freak out." And then it freaks out April, and that was in the trailer. But when I saw this, I was excited because it was a live-action Ninja Turtle movie. But it's mainly about April, where she's trying to investigate various Foot Clan activities. But the foot soldiers in this movie, they're not even really ninjas. They're honestly army men in this movie, because they mainly use guns in this. So they kind of just look like soldiers. They don't really feel like ninjas. But in Out of the Shadows, they finally do get them to look like ninjas, but that's a different story. But the main thing about this movie that's a big wonder was Shredder. So Shredder in this movie, I'm very mixed on Shredder in this movie. He is a giant mech in this. Now, that's not really necessarily a bad idea, but the way they do this interpretation of Shredder, I just do not feel like he's the enemy, the main bad guy of the Ninja Turtles. Because they were setting up Eric Sachs to be the Shredder, if you saw in the trailer. But apparently there were reshoots for this movie. And apparently they changed it, where he wasn't the Shredder. So he's kind of just a greedy businessman. But he mainly interacts with April, and we learn a little bit about his backstory that's kind of just whatever. And when we do find out his plan, he's basically, yeah, just a typical cartoon businessman. He basically, what his plan is, it's kind of, people say, even say it's similar to the plot of Amazing Spider-Man, the finale of that movie, where Eric Sachs basically wants to create some toxin that he wants to spread all throughout New York, and he's going to have Shredder do it. But apparently he wants to kidnap the Ninja Turtles so he can use their blood for an antidote, so he can really just get money for himself. So yeah, he basically just monologues this whole scene, and you kind of just don't care about Eric Sachs. So that's my little rant about the character. But the other characters we see in this movie, we get Will Arnett. Now, I like Will Arnett. I think he's great as Batman. He's the voice of Batman. He's a great host for Lego Masters. Yeah, he seems like a fun actor in a lot of fun projects. But in this movie, he plays Venom. If you don't know who Venom is, he is the cameraman in the 80s Ninja Turtles show. I could say he's not as annoying as that character in the 80s show. But yeah, Will Arnett's not given too much to do in this movie. He does help April out, take out Eric Sachs, and rescue the Turtles. But mainly he's just getting explained what's going on with this whole Ninja Turtle stuff. But the main thing that April goes through throughout this movie is that she gets attacked by the foot soldiers after they cause some holdup. We even see Karai in this movie, who's loyal to Shredder. Yeah, Karai was disappointing in this movie. Like, she's kind of just there just to be there, even in the second one. But she mainly gets attacked by the Turtles. But we get this one cool subway scene. I thought that scene was pretty cool, where the Turtles take out the various soldiers and rescue all the hostages and stuff. But April does meet the Turtles, and it's somewhat of an interesting interaction. And she basically just figures out that... But the big plot twist is that the Ninja Turtles' origin. So I'm a bit skeptical about this, because if you're like a diehard Ninja Turtle fan like me, you'll probably want things to be a certain way. But there are multiple interpretations of the Ninja Turtles. It's similar to the IDW comics, where those version of the Turtles were experimented on by Baxter Stockman, but then April manages to rescue them after getting attacked by the Foot Clan. But in this movie, they are experimented on by Eric Sachs, who wants to use the mutagen on them. But apparently April's dad figures out what's been going on, and so he tries to tear up Shredder and Sachs's plans. It's actually all revealed once the Turtles kidnap April and take her to Splinter. And yeah, I'll get to Splinter in a bit. But mainly, this version of Turtles, they go into the sewer, but because they've been experimented on, they slowly grow and mutate. But apparently, because they're ninjas, is because Splinter found a book of ninjutsu and decided to teach them the ways of ninjutsu, and he taught himself. So yeah, I'm not really a fan of that, because it just feels like it's just throwing things. Like, it felt like it was just out of there. Like Splinter just finds a book, and we got no Hamato Yoshi or Oroku Saki, just like in the Mirage comics. But honestly, the Ninja Turtles story isn't really meant to be taken seriously, since it was meant to be a parody of like various dark comic books back then. But in this, I guess they're just having their own interpretation of it. They even did something similar with the Mutant Mayhem movie, where Splinter was just a rat in New York who meets the Turtles, who he first doesn't like them. But then when they mutate, he becomes their fodder. And I like that little arc in that version of the movie. But in this movie, Splinter is not really... I don't know. He's portrayed as wise. The voice of Splinter is pretty decent. But yeah, but when the Shredder and the goons do find the Turtles at their lair, we get this scene where Shredder shows up, and yeah, he's wearing his mech, and Splinter attacks Shredder, and of course Splinter loses, and it just felt like, I thought this portrayal of Splinter could have been more. Like, I thought he'd be powerful or something, because usually Splinter is a pretty tough dude, especially in most versions of the Turtles. He's not just an old man rat who teaches his turtles. But yeah, he gets defeated easily, and the Turtles try to save him, but Raph gets crushed by rubble, I'm pretty sure. But Leo, Mikey, and Donnie get captured, and so Raph, he realizes he has limited time to save Splinter. He and April team up to go rescue the Turtles, and so Raph does sneak to Eric Sack's base, and that's where we do learn his plan. But when Raph does show up, he encounters Shredder again, and Raph just pulls all the weapons out, and he tries to fight Shredder, and it's actually a pretty decent fight. I do like the idea of like Raph fighting Shredder and on his own trying to save his brothers. I actually like that idea. But April and Vernon try to save the Turtles, who are almost about to overdose by being experimented on too much. But apparently Donnie tells April to use the computer, and he kind of says it in a weird way. But April turns it on, and then the Turtles are back in their mode after Raph is defeated by Shredder. But the Turtles are ready to fight, and Raph's okay, I guess. And so they mainly are gonna... They all split up. The Turtles are gonna encounter Shredder at the tower, the New York Tower, whatever. And April and Vernon are gonna encounter Eric Sack. And that's mainly what goes on in this. And we get this infamous scene that even gets made fun of in the 2012 show. The Turtles using their weapons to beatbox. So that scene, it was somewhat entertaining. I do like the idea that the Turtles, this could be their last stand. So they decide to just have a little fun, which was nice. But they do encounter the Shredder on top of the building, and they even do something similar with the second movie where they encounter Krang. It all takes place on the sky. We even see the beam in the sky in the second movie, even in this movie. So yeah, it's a little kind of like Avengers, if you can say. But the Turtles fight Shredder, and it's actually a pretty decent fight. I do like this fight. But yeah, the Turtles encounter... But yeah, I forgot to mention the snow power fight earlier, sorry. But after the Turtles get rescued, they do go on the snow area. And I did mention it earlier, but yeah, that scene was entertaining. But I'll get back to the Shredder fight. The Shredder fight's pretty decent. But the Turtles mainly get beaten by Shredder on top of the tower, while April and Vernon do encounter Eric Sack, and he easily gets defeated. And he's even trolling with April, saying like, "Ooh, you two are cute." But he gets knocked out, and we never see Eric Sack again. So yeah, Eric Sack is a very disappointing villain. But Shredder gets defeated by the Turtles when they do this thing they did as little kids. They do this thing called Buck Buck, where they stand on they jump on each other, and they go from turtle to turtle. That seems... I actually do like the idea of Buck Buck, where the Turtles jump on each other's backs, and then, yeah, they perform an attack, and Raph does kick Shredder off the building, and he just says, "Cowabunga." But because the tower is almost ready to fall off because of the battle going on, Donnie did have enough time to stop the sort of radiation bomb. But Shredder does come back up, and he's ready to attack the Turtles when they're trying to stop the satellite from falling down into the city. But April shows up with the canister of mutagen that they stole from Zax, and she's like, "Shredder, this is all that's left." I'm like, April, why would you yell at Shredder when he literally could just kill you? But apparently it's enough where the Turtles basically take Shredder down, and April finishes him off once the tower falls, and the rest is just like the Turtles on trying to not fall to their deaths, and they even make their last words when falling off the building. Yeah, it's a little weird that they would say this like as their last moments together. Like they randomly say, Mikey says, "I don't understand the ending of Lost," which is a random reference to that TV show. Donnie says, I put Pop-Tarts back in the box, and then Leo goes to Raph, and Raph just mainly just says, he goes in an emotional state saying, like, I love you guys. I'm so sorry I was hard on you. That scene was a little nice, I guess, since it shows Raph does have a heart towards his brothers, which I always liked about Raph for his character. But the Turtles survive, and the day is saved. Shredder's defeated, and he fell to his death. And he somehow is alive in the next movie, even though he fell down. But the Turtles save Splinter with the mutagen they got. And yeah, I think that's it for the movie. Oh yeah, in April, while she was a journalist, she does get fired from her job. I forgot to mention Whoopi Goldberg's randomly in this movie. She plays Bern Thompson. And April is trying to convince her that the Turtles exist, but she mainly just says, you're crazy. But the movie ends with the Turtles having their own vehicle, and Mikey ends up using it to accidentally destroy Venom's car. I thought that scene was funny. But yeah, that's the movie. So yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2014, it's a mess in my opinion. Like, the turtle designs I'm just not really a fan of. The portrayal of the Turtles were alright. They do somewhat have their personalities. But yeah, they're not that engaging in my opinion. That's the main issue I have with this movie, is that they focus on April and Venom a lot, that they kind of just lose focus of the Turtles. And a lot of the movie is just a lot of exposition, and the movie could have been a little more interesting in my opinion. And Shredder, honestly, the mech seems cool, but it's just like, it feels like we're watching a Transformer, since this is made by Michael Bay, who done the Transformers movies. But if you're not really a fan of Transformers, you probably won't like this movie. Or if you're a diehard TMNT fan, I don't know if you'll like this movie or not, since there are multiple interpretations of the Turtles. But those are my thoughts on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2014. I'd probably give it probably a 5 out of 10. Like, I don't mind watching this movie, but I just have a lot of nitpicks when it comes to this version of the Turtles. But I am ready to review the 2000 Free show. I don't know when I'm going to start it. Maybe next week. We'll just have to wait and see. It depends on how motivated I am, since I'm watching a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, thanks for watching, and Turtle Power.